I rarely followed handbag patterns exactly as they were written. Not because the patterns are bad or were bad, but because once my imagination gets involved, the bag usually becomes something else entirely. These bags started from ordinary sewing ideas, but somewhere between the fabric choices, the handle changes, and all the little experiments, they became my own. Back then, handbag patterns were more like suggestions to me. I would look at the envelope, not for instructions, but for possibilities. Sometimes I liked the shape, sometimes it was the strap idea, or one tiny detail would spark an entirely different direction. And honestly, by the end, the finished bag often looked nothing like the original. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I'll say it. If you understand this, you are ahead. Line drawings are the keys. They represent what a garment or accessory would look like if they were lying flat. Because of their clean lines, they are helpful in understanding how patterns are constructed. This black and gold bag is one of my favorite examples of that process. The original pattern was soft and casual, but I wanted a little drama. So I changed the fabric direction completely. The bold print gave the bag structure visually, even before interfacing entered the picture. I also loved oversized bags during this period, so I wanted something artistic, soft, and expressive, not stiff and formal. What fascinates me now is how much fabric alone changed the personality of the design. Same basic shape, completely different mood. The tote handbag with the black and gold fabric inset is an elongated version of View A on the sewing pattern envelope. The first change I made was to switch the fabric choices for the body of the handbag and the inset. Then I used the slash and spread method to extend the pieces, but I kept the symmetries true to the size of the template. Slashing and spreading is a simple principle used in pattern making that allows for adding fullness and increasing lengths or widths of pattern pieces. Try it. The confidence you will gain is sizable, and you'll see how one bag can become many. And not just a bag, any item of clothing you choose. After sewing for a while, I realized something important. Patterns can teach you construction. But if you are just using it for that purpose, you are missing out. Because creativity begins when you start asking, what if? What if I changed the strap? What if I made the bag larger? What if I used contrasting fabric? Or what if the original idea became only the starting point? That is when sewing becomes truly exciting. This next bag became all about texture. The braided handle changed everything. Suddenly, the bag felt more elevated, almost boutique style. And this is something I learned over time. Sometime one detail transform an entire project. Not the pattern, not the complexity, just one thoughtful decision. That's the beauty of creative sewing. Although I must say the construction of this bag was different. I had to do a bit of handwork to make those braided straps work. They were already thick, and when I braided 3 pieces together, the machine couldn't sew over them. So I actually attached it by hand and made the 4 fabric covers to conceal anything unsightly. Remember, manufacturers developed and tested the patterns. They know which textiles will work. Still, you'll find the word suggested in bold on the back of the envelope. That indicates you have room to explore. The suggested fabrics on the envelope for the exterior were synthetic leathers, short pile synthetic furs, and synthetic suede. I had none of those. So that's where the hacking part comes in. You'll notice that I made sure the coverings on the handles did not show as an afterthought. On the inside of the bag, I whip stitched them in place at the lower edges. So there was no movement and they presented as part of the design. Looking back now, I realize I wasn't just making handbags. I was learning how to trust my creativity, my creative instincts. Some ideas worked fantastic. They came out beautiful. Some not so much, or at least I did not like them. But every project taught me something. I learned about balance and proportion, texture, practicality, and of course, personal style. And honestly, that may be the real joy of sewing. Not perfection, but interpretation. However you feel to make it, that's the way you make it. Keep this in mind. Commercial sewing patterns play a significant role in home sewing. Here's the truth. They are full-scale tissue paper templates widely available online and in most fabric stores. Each envelope has individual prices and comes in different sizes. And they also contain sewing instructions, fabric layout, and design options. Besides, they cater to the needs of separate levels of sewing. So, like a book, you can learn from them and move on. If you've ever changed a sewing pattern because your imagination took over, you're not alone. Sometimes the best projects begin with instructions and end with intuition. I'd love to know, have you ever completely changed a sewing project halfway through? Tell me in the comments. If you love sewing, timeless fashion, creativity, and stories from a lifelong maker, you're in the right place. Subscribe to All My Ways Andrea for more sewing archives, inspiration, handmade style, and creative living. As always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.